Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. I'm Brian Winnikins, and joining us today is Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike. We're going to talk a little bit about the school board meeting from the 15th on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday, but we're going to talk with Greg about that meeting today. And Greg, thank you for joining us. Well, there's a couple of public hearings that had to be held during the meeting. Can you tell us the reasoning behind the meetings? It sounds like it was just kind of something that is something you always kind of have to do. So it wasn't anything really special, right?
Right. There's a waiver process that's in place every year. Most school districts don't go through it, but with the COVID pandemic, there's been more emphasis on waiving certain state statute responsibilities. And to be DPI has never really granted any waivers, but because of the situation, they are granting more waivers. So there's a formalized process in state statute that how we have to go about having a waiver hearing and giving the public an opportunity to comment and going through those steps. And yeah, we applied for 2 waivers, both dealt with staff evaluation and just kind of in an effort to take some of the unnecessary or some of that additional workload off of the principals and off of the staff and let them focus on, working with the kids during this uncertain time.
Meanwhile, also the Mr. Yinks talked a little bit about some stuff with the Wisconsin School Board Association. There's been a proposal out there for the way employee evaluations for the administrators are done, so that not everything is just released to the public, because that seems to be that's kind of how the law is right now, isn't it?
Yeah, right now the law basically says my evaluation of administrators is open to a public records request, and I think that's and what Mr. Yinks is going at is evaluations and any disciplinary action or plans of improvement really should be kept confidential between the school board and the administrator, or if it was a principal, myself, the school board, and the administrator, because you just don't want that out public, because it can have an adverse effect on the credibility and reputation of the individual as they're trying to get better. And I just in Mr. Yink's eyes, from his HR experience, that's kind of the way he feels it should go. And many people don't realize that that's actually the statute. Most people believe that they are confidential. So I think a lot of it's just coming down to trying to have the school board association push an agenda, a political agenda, to try to change the state statute to allow administrator evaluations and disciplinary records to be confidential.
Talking with Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike today about the school board meeting from December 15th. Greg, obviously we're still in the virtual learning, and I know a lot of parents are wanting to know, okay, when will in-person learning resume? And that is going to happen after the Christmas break.
Correct. We are our numbers, and we really appreciate everything the families have done, and the students and the staff have all done a tremendous job. Our transportation and paraprofessionals, administrators, food service has done a phenomenal job of rolling with the punches as we've made this transition. But yeah, our numbers are looking better. Our numbers are going down, and I think our numbers are looking better. If you've been following it, there's a reduction in cases in Wisconsin, positive cases in Wisconsin. There's also a reduction in testing, which is kind of they coincide together. But some of the positive cases that we've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks that we've been out, that would have impacted a large number of kids or staff, obviously haven't impacted the numbers that they would have had we been in person. So, but our numbers are better. We're getting everybody, a lot of people off quarantine. Our staff numbers are getting better to where we have limited staff quarantined right now. So all in all, things are going well, and we have every plan and intention of returning to school on January 4th and looking forward to getting the kids back in the hallways and in the classrooms.
Greg, I know this hasn't been discussed at the school board meeting, but with the vaccine, have you talked with your colleagues? Is there some type of potential push to try and have teachers be farther in front of the line to get this vaccine? Because that's always been kind of an issue. Is it's not so much that the kids have COVID-19, it's the staff. And if we don't have staff, kind of
Right.
defeats the purpose.
Yeah, and right now that push really hasn't happened. I think I think that'll start gearing up here once the vaccine starts getting rolled out, and everybody right now is kind of in that transitional period as we go into Christmas break. But I do have a statewide superintendent meeting this afternoon, and I'm assuming that's going to be a topic of conversation. And I would expect from a statewide aspect, whether it be the principals association, superintendents association, or the teachers union, that there will be a push to move teachers up, because not just that the idea of keeping schools open is an essential feature really to keep the economy going, and we realize that. So that's what we're hoping to do. But some of it could be based on timing too. I mean, if the vaccine doesn't get to that essential level until the 1st of May, middle of May, I don't know if there's a reason really to push teachers to the front of the line. We're basically done with school, and we can, everybody can just get it in the summer with the rest of the population. So some of that could be based on timing and how fast the vaccine gets pumped out to the different regions.
I know this again wasn't really discussed at the school board meeting on Tuesday night, but I know some districts have said, you know what, we're just not doing snow days this year. There will be no such thing as a snow day. If you can't come into school, we're just going to do the virtual learning. Has that been something that you've talked with administration about that possibility?
Yeah, we have administratively, and we kind of mentioned it to the school board last month in November, but we kind of talking with colleagues in the area, our thought process is we will forgive the first two for students. The first two snow days will be the good old fashioned snow days that everybody looks forward to and awaits that early morning phone call, or when I was a kid, the radio broadcast, or to see your name scrolled across the bottom of the TV screen. But yeah, we'll forgive the first two, and then from there we will transition into virtual learning with our students, which it really probably will be very, not much different than what they're experiencing right now. So that's kind of the process. And as I look outside right now, I see the sun out. So we've been fortunate, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I guess I'll be the Grinch for the day. I remember I was talking with a couple of board members last night about 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago. We were at the state school board convention in January, and at that time we had not had any snow days. And I said to them on the way home, "Don't be surprised if we cancel school 4 days next week." And those 4 days started a series of about, I don't know, 12 or 15 snow days in January, February, March, and April. So um, I'm thankful for what we're experiencing now, and cautiously optimistic and hoping that it continues, and that we don't have a replay of a couple years ago.
Yeah, I do remember that. Speaking of the school calendar for 2021, 2022, the board approved it. There were a couple of different options on the table, but the board decided to approve the calendar with a spring break included.
Yeah, they did. It's something that we've started the last couple of years here. We've had a spring break, and the calendar that was kind of presented to them was two options: one with a spring break, one without a spring break. The difference in it is, do we get out of school the Friday before Memorial Day, or do we come back to school 4 days after Memorial Day? And as I stated last night, I don't think administratively we're really strongly. We don't have a real strong opinion, or I think the word I used last night is we're not really married to one or the other. I think we're okay with either. If you asked our opinion, I think having that break in March is not a bad thing. I think it just gives everybody an opportunity to take a deep breath, and that can be a long stretch of school from January all the way till what is typically an Easter break. That can be a very long stretch, as it's winter and you can't do anything. And although the sun is coming out, so the days are a little bit longer at that time, it is a long stretch in a school when you have this many, large number of people all packed together in a space. So the board did decide to go with the spring break, and we will be sending that information out here to the family soon.
Finally, Greg, the board also approved the purchase of a new utility tractor. Is this kind of related to the softball field?
No, not really. I think it more has to do, Brian, with the one we have right now is kind of past its useful life. It's It's been here a while. I think I don't even know if it was newer when I was here as the dean of students like 15 years ago. So it's an older model, and it just comes a little bit unpredictable. And if there's going to be an issue, and we had the one snowfall earlier this year, and there was an issue with it, and um, kind of as the reference I made last night, from having some uncles that farm. When it's fall and you're trying to take the corn off the field, the last thing you want is your combine down and having to wait for, 2 or 3 days to get the part in. Um, our combining is snow removal on sidewalks, and we can't afford to have that down. So it was time to look for a little bit more reliable tractor, and the current one we have really is just a lawnmower with very little use for us outside of snow removal. And we just thought about getting a utility tractor that has some ability because of what you mentioned, baseball, softball field, has the ability to put a salt spreader on the back. And that salt spreader also will be able to do some of the rubber pellets up at the football field. And we have to start adding those back in. And not to mention, just having a bucket here is going to be a nice thing just for some snow removal. When piles get larger or pile up in certain areas, we can move it ourselves versus contracting that out, and just different things. It's kind of one of those things where you never realize how much you need something, not want, and how much you need something until you don't have it. And I think after being here for 9 years, always we're looking for something and we're borrowing or stealing from somebody. We just time for us to have one of our own.
All right. Well, Superintendent Doverspike, again, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to take a second, Brian, once again, to congratulate you on your award.
Thank you.
Very deserved honor. And we appreciate all the support you provide us at the school district and everything you do for our community.
Well, again, appreciate that. Thank you again, Greg. I really do appreciate it. And the school's always been helping me out too. So again, thank you to the district as well. That is Durand, Arkansas School Superintendent Greg Doverspike. You're listening to WRDN.